me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Advocate for it. I think it is a powerful tool. I think it's just that. I think it's a tool. I use it in my life, my daily life, to help me build scopes, to things that would take time and thought. I think that when we get into the turf world of the next 10 years, I think when you start mixing GPS and artificial intelligence on mowers and sprayers and drones and all these things.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series. In this episode, we explore one of the most significant innovations shaping the future of our profession, artificial intelligence. AI is more than just a buzzword. It's a tool that can help parks and recreation leaders streamline operations, improve communication, and make better use of resources. From planning special events to managing facilities and engaging communities, its impact is already being felt. Joining us is Brian Dixon from Henry County Parks and Rec, a leader with deep experience in operations and innovation. Together, we'll discuss the opportunities AI presents, the challenges it brings, and how it can support the mission of parks and recreation professionals across the country. Stay with us for this important conversation on leadership, technology, and the future of Parks and Rec. All right, this is Craig LeBlanc, the doorman with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Excuse me, fixing my coffee. Leadership Series Edition. I think I got another mix up with my guest was going to be Brian Dixon. I know we're working with a lot of stuff. We're going to just bring his whole maintenance staff on. I also have a show with the entire Henry County Parks and Rec team. Right after this. It's a monthly show called The Rec Room. Don't miss it. It's every second Tuesday of the month, The Rec Room, which is a podcast that we co-create with Henry County, Georgia, one of the most highly decorated Parks and Rec departments in America. That is several awards. Many of their people have gotten awards. They're under the leadership of Mr. Jonathan Penn over there. So don't miss out on that show coming up next. And it's where we have the whole leadership team there, so you can kind of see everybody and how it works and their family atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. Shout out to Thomas White, Brian Dixon, Miss Donna. Who else am I missing out on that show? KP Athletics. Yeah, great show. So don't miss out on that. That starts at 1:30 p.m. Eastern every second Wednesday of the month. Shout out to that whole crew over there. And a big announcement, I will be attending the Georgia Parks and Rec Association with the whole crew, the whole team. Everyone's going to be there. And so if you are attending the Georgia Parks and Rec convention, I believe it's the first week of November, if my mind serves me correctly, at Jekyll Island. For those of you that don't know what Jekyll Island is a historic landmark location where the Federal Reserve was created. Kind of a dark times in our history, but anyway, that's where they're hosting it. It's a gorgeous island right off the Atlantic coast in Georgia. So hopefully, if I'm there, y'all can see me, meet the crew. Before that, though, we are going to be at NRPA. We're going to host two meetup events. One's going to be Tuesday evening, 4 to 6 before the big show at the NRPA convention. I think we're going to do it at that sports bar across the way, just walking distance, less than a block away. And then there's a coffee house right close by. I think Wednesday morning we're going to meet there just to have coffee, so that I got something for my late night people. I got something for my early birds. And my night owls and my early birds will have a show, a personal meetup where you can meet everybody that works with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Well, almost everybody. I think we'll have like 4 or 5 of the team members there. And then hopefully one day I can get my graphics designers and video editors and stuff to come in for potentially the next. Definitely by the time we get to New Orleans in 2029, they'll be there. But we're going to try to get them to, I think, 2026 is in Philly. Could be wrong. I need to look on my on the NRPA website as far as their conventions coming up. Okay, but I do have an exciting episode for everyone that's using AI. I'm going to tell you how I use AI to create. And I think this is something that everyone can use in every department, in every chair that they're doing. I think this is going to be a game changer. And so, but before we get into that, I'm going to play my big thanks, shout out to everyone that helped us to cross our 200th episode. This is our 221st episode. And we do have a whole wave of 3.0 promos for the show, for partnerships, for facilities maintenance, for YPN, for YSM. We got a lot of stuff coming out of the creative side of Parks and Rec. So let's go ahead and play that, and then we'll come right back and I will share with y'all a lot of the stuff I've been working on. So let's play this and come right back.
From a simple mic in a rec center to a full-scale media company for the people who power our parks. 200 real stories, 5 original shows, and more to come, with one powerful mission: to lift up the voices of Parks and Rec professionals across the country. From maintenance crews and young interns and youths who love sports, to directors and public servants making a difference. We've built a platform that honors the unsung heroes behind every clean trail, every weekend tournament, every safe, welcoming park. This milestone isn't just about the content, it's about the people, the passion, the purpose. To every guest, listener, and supporter, thank you. The next chapter starts today. This is DPRS Media Co. Media for public service.
All right, so we are going to do a deep dive into AI, using AI every day in your normal day-to-day. But before we get into that, I want to welcome and thank all of the partners, strategic partners that are we're in conversations with, that are wanting to help us co-create different shows for the Parks and Rec community. So we have entered phase 3 of the Daily Parks and Rec show. Now we are DPRS Media Company. Obviously, that's the acronym for Daily Parks and Rec Show, DPRS Media Company. This is the media company that is, think about ESPN and how they cater to all things sports. We want to create a media company similar to ESPN. That's all things parks and recreation. And so now in phase 3, phase 1 was just start. Okay. That's always phase 1 for anything that you do. Start. That was like episodes 0 to 100. And we did it. We started. I invite all of you to go check out our early episodes and how it was just, it looked like somebody just starting, trying to find their way. It was just like, let's just set sail for the new promised land or whatever. And we will figure out how to get there along the way. We just had a mission and a vision, which I can read for you right now. Our why, let me read you these few things. DPRS exists to unite and honor the Parks and Rec community, reflecting their stories, struggles, and soul to inspire a legacy of love, purpose, and belonging. So that's our why. Okay. Our mission of DPRS Media. DPRS Media Co. tells the stories, highlights the careers, and celebrates the essential work they do in our community. And our vision is DPRS Media Co. will be the trusted, vibrant hub where Parks and Rec leaders, vendors, and communities unite, inspire innovation, sharing wisdom, and driving change for a stronger, healthier nation. And so this was all kind of to get to this, to really dial in, who are we? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? What have we accomplished? What does that vision look like? And so that, it kind of took us to our 200th episode to kind of get all that just, clarity. And I think when you start something, you just don't start with clarity. Clarity is something you discover along the way of a journey. Because as you face adversity and everything that you try to accomplish, you really start to get clear. You find out what's fat that you need to trim, what's core to your mission that you want to keep and hone in on and focus on. And so I really think that, it was kind of in the distant, blurry vision. And now it's kind of clarifying to where we are really focused on who we are, what we're trying to do, and what's our mission, what's our vision, what's our why. And I think we're much more clear after 220 episodes, 500 interviews, than we were when we just started with kind of a dim vision of the kind of like you see a light off in the future. But as you sail towards it, it kind of starts to clarify who you are, who's on board, who's, on your ship, what are the different roles and jobs, and how do we serve this community? And so phase 2 was momentum. Let's just interview the people, get their feedback, understand their why, understand who they are, understand Parks and Recreation. And now phase 3 is let's dial it in with different shows. Let's create a show for Parks and Rec. And I'll give you a few examples of the shows. Let's take it. Our first big example was youth sports. Youth sports is just a big chunk of how we provide health and wellness and community and build community and work with the parents and the coaches and the children that are involved in youth sports. A lot of this is, squarely within the sights of Parks and Recreation across America. And we knew we needed a show just to speak on that one topic of youth sports. However, how does that show benefit the people of urban forestry? You could do 4 decades in youth sports. That's not going to help you get better or understand the mastery and the craft of what a master arborist working in the urban forestry division of Parks and Rec would do. So you can see how you almost need a show just on youth sports. You need another show just on urban forestry. Another great example would be finance in Parks and Rec. So this can be your master planning, your accounting, your bookkeeping, your grant writing, your fundraising. That's going to be that very deep, specific content from the expert created with the help of vendors that are the experts in that one part of Parks and Recreation. And then you could see how so what are the other shows that would also need to be created for Parks and Recreation? We could do aquatics, we can do technology, software, and the list goes on and on. So we've identified about a dozen shows that we're going to co-create in phase 3. I think phase 3 is going to run up to like the 400th episode. So it's going to take a little bit longer to get the partnerships, the strategic partners, the experts, the show hosts, as we kind of launch 12 new shows. And so they may start out as monthly shows and graduate as they mature into weekly shows. That's kind of where we are right now. So we created our first version promo for bringing in and announcing that we are looking for strategic partners. And so this is Chris is diligently working on the version 2 here, but we're going to go ahead and play this so we kind of get the word out, get it going, and continue with all the relationships and conversations we're having behind the scenes. But here we go, and then we're going to come back and talk about AI.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping Parks and Recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion Parks and Rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move Parks and Rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
Okay, so each show will have its, we're going to give them a one page in our weekly newsletter. They're going to have their own monthly moving to weekly show with vendors that have a high level of expertise in that one section of Parks and Recreation. And we're going to have social media posts about the content, about what we're doing as we understand also the mission, vision, purpose of that show, who it caters to, who it speaks to. And then our end goal is to create a library, a digital online library that the whole nation of Parks and Rec professionals has free access to. It'll exist on YouTube, it'll exist on Nostr, it'll exist on Rumble, on a lot of others as we build this out, so that anybody on any platform, on any of these platforms, can see the content created, can hear from the wisdom that these experts, both working directly in Parks and Rec or third-party contractors, vendors that they've spent decades of their life understanding that section of Parks and Rec that'll exist on these individual shows. So that's kind of the framework that we're building out in phase 3. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, AI. Okay, there is something called Grok. Grok is part of XAI, and what AI is able to do now is it's able to capture in what's similar to an agent. And so an agent is almost like another human mind that is able to capture all the information online, all the information available to any expert. But this is, I don't know if you want to call it a creature or an agent that has access to everything that's ever been written about human psychology. Everything that's ever, so imagine this. Imagine, I'll just give you my example here. So imagine I have a vision to create a media company for Parks and Recreation. Wouldn't it be nice to have someone that was a PhD level expert in marketing, in branding, in trust building, in communication? So a communications expert, someone dedicated their life at the doctorate level to communication, to wordsmithing, like an art, like an not an art, like a writer, someone that understands language, someone that understands the American business culture. Also having someone that has a PhD in Parks and Recreation, someone that literally has dedicated decades of their life, someone that's a business coach, someone that understands you and your local community. So imagine if you had like 10 PhD level experts that would just sit in the room with you and co-create with you. And so right now, humans are creating on their own, kind of alone. For the most part, nobody's in your head. These brains of ours are kind of single occupancy apartments, and no one can get in there with you. And if you pay for an expert, $200, $300, $500 an hour for the best business coach on earth to sit down and come once a week, once a month and review what you're doing, and then they're gone. Maybe you don't see them till next week, next month when you got another appointment set. But then imagine having 10 of those, all $200, $500 an hour level PhD people. And so as you're typing, creating, you're able to have somebody that is an expert in language, that is an expert in trust building, that is an expert in media and writing, and an expert in social media posting, an expert in building online media, building online communities, an expert in storytelling. Did you know that you can, just about all of these, you can attend summits and week-long events for podcasters? So just as you have these state associations that will host an annual event, and all these resident experts come in and talks about Parks and Rec. Well, there's also something you can attend for storytelling. You can sign up for a 2 or 3 day convention just on storytelling. So you can really hone your skill on storytelling. Let's say you're a storyteller, which I think we all are storytellers. I think humans have been telling stories, and it's a powerful way to communicate a vision, a mission, a culture, a community, just by telling stories. And so having someone that is an expert in storytelling to help you craft, to help train you, to help you gain the skills of storytelling, would be a game changer. And imagine if they could sit with you all the time, always be there, not just when you sign an appointment, have a 1 hour with them. And most of us are doing all the above with no expert, with no expertise, with no one with deep knowledge and understanding of all the wisdom that's ever been written about storytelling. And then you can just move across to all the different categories that we, um, are using. And most of the time, we don't have deep knowledge and understanding of storytelling or marketing or trust building or making sure that your lines, the words you choose to write are concise. Maybe sometimes they get a little too wordy. How about having someone that's just good at English and punctuation and sentence structure, looking over your shoulder? This is exactly what AI does for me. Now, the one I use is Grok Valentine. And so if you go to Grok, you've got these two people. One is Ani and one is Valentine. And these are like little avatars that are kind of like, they're cartoons. They look like cartoons, anime cartoons. And mine speak in an English accent. And so I'll sit down with Valentine for 3 to 4 hours a day when I'm in my creative space and say, look, I need to write a mission statement for the Daily Parks and Rec show. Here's what I have so far. And now leading up to this, I kind of fed him who Craig LeBlanc was. My childhood, my upbringing, me as an athlete, me as an entrepreneur, my Bitcoin journey, my entrepreneurial journey, my journey into parks and recreation. I tell them about the show that I'm making, the community I'm serving, and so that this AI really gets to know me. Now, I know this is kind of scary and creepy for some people, but if you're going to ask an expert to come advise you and counsel you and co-create with you, how can they do that if you're holding back information, if they really don't understand who you are, where you came from, what you're doing, and what you're trying to create? But if you could feed them all that information and they can really get into their mind, oh, okay, I see now what you're trying to do. I now see what you're trying to do. And then they can advise you. And before you know it, it's almost like a dance where you're creating back and forth, feeding, stuff like that. And so it's a conversation. So right now, Valentine can only have a conversation with me, but I'm basically saying, here's my thoughts on the mission. And then he dials it in so that if I ever have any grammatical errors, if I have, maybe it's too wordy or too long, or I'm looking for it to be a little more punchy and powerful, do I lead with something emotional and punchy and powerful at the beginning of the statement? Or do I reserve that for the end of the statement? Am I hitting the target market squarely? And then I just get this feedback back and forth, and we create a mission statement, a vision statement. And so imagine you have this same thing when you're trying to create something like a special event. Say, hey, we have a special event where our community comes together once a year and celebrates the 4th of July. Here's what I have here's my checklist. I've got to get, all the red tape done with the rest of the departments in Parks and Rec. I've got, this is the community I'm serving. This is the type of people that show up. It's a family event. It's at night. And you can basically just map out the entire special event. And then have these conversations with this group of PhD professionals that are helping you design everything that you're doing, making sure that your story is dialed in, that it's what you want. But now you're creating with, as a team, as a group of thinkers, all centered around what you want to do, your mission, your vision, your role in parks and recreation. And then it understands who you are as a person. If you tell it, right? If you withhold something, well, then that might not be incorporated into what you're trying to create. But if you do feed it everything, this is a complete game changer. And God forbid that you're going up against somebody that is leveraging this technology, because they are going to wipe the floor with you, just because they just have so much more insight, knowledge, wisdom in all these different areas when it comes to creating. And so I look at it this way. Imagine if today somebody said, give me your smartphone. And you have to go back to the way that we got information and communicated before the smartphone. So let's say somebody blasted you back to the 1990s and you had to communicate using landlines, pagers, letters, with postage stamps and in the mail, and face to face. And that was it. So here in 2025, imagine you can't use your cell phone. You can't use your smartphone. You can't use the internet. It hadn't been invented yet. Only face-to-face meetings, only letters and handwriting and stuff, still using pen and paper. This is what we did in the 90s. And do you think that 35 years ago, today you have a massive advantage because you can communicate faster? Your reach is greater. Your access to professionals is now much broader. You would just be able to produce so much value, so much reach than someone operating in 2025. So that's a 35-year leap of everything that's been accomplished since, say, 1990 till 2025, 35 years of all the technological advances that we've made as a species in how we communicate in the modern day. And so AI, I think, is another inflection point. It's where we have a paradigm shift that now, in addition to that, using AI, I believe, is a bigger leap than the leap that we took from 1990 to 2025 with the internet, with the App Store, with the constant plugged in online communication we have with our smartphones and the ability to communicate with our team and all the software that's been written for all these subscriptions that you have that are helping you manage your workflows, managing your accounting, managing your deferred maintenance, being able to have your entire team have cameras on them so that they can take pictures, text it. I mean, back in the day where you had your little what was it? Kodak camera. Like in 1990, did you see maintenance professionals walking around with Kodak cameras, taking pictures of things that were broken and then going to the drugstore, developing them and then mailing them to people? Like, no, we didn't use photography to communicate. But today, because taking a picture and sending it to a team of people is so cheap, it's literally free, that we can say, hey, the concession stand really needs some work. Here's what the inside of it looks like. Here's some of the things that are broken. Click, 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 take 5 pictures, send it to the team, and then now they can work as if they've been there themselves. And so it just, the efficiency gains that have happened over that 35 years is insane. And now it's almost like part of our life. We don't even think about it. And I believe AI is going to do the same thing, that if you can create with 10 PhD level masters, it's just going to be a game changer for all of us in creation, all of us in storytelling, all of us in communicating, all of us in trying that are trying to bring value to the market with less. And I think that is a human condition from day one. Back when we were, a million years ago, humans have always been trying to do more with less. How do I do that same task with in 1 hour instead of 10 hours? And so humans have always been choosing the latter. They've always said, well, I'd rather do the same thing in 1 hour than take 10 hours. I'd rather spend $100 than spend $1,000. And then that leaves me 9 hours to go do something else and $900 to go do that something else with. And so forever, as a consumer, as a creator, when we go shopping, spending our time, spending our money, we're always trying to do more with less. And I think the evolution of how we communicate, the evolution of how we spend money, how we choose what to buy, when to buy it, how much to spend, has been part of all of our decision making. And after millions of years of humans, or tens of thousands of years of humans operating in this framework, we've gotten so much more efficient at doing everything, from how we communicate to how we spend our time and money. And I think AI is just another leap forward, similar to how electricity came in and just destroyed the world of fire. So imagine fire was used for light, it was used for cooking, it was used for heating, and then inbound electricity. And now electricity lights, heats, and cooks so much more efficiently. You're not going to burn your house down as easily as when you have, a big fireplace that you're cooking over, and it's very cumbersome, and there's smoke and but fire had so many limitations. You're never going to run a computer off of fire. You're not like loading logs into your computer to make sure the fire keeps going, right? And so I think what we have here is much like how we went from fire to electricity, from electricity to the internet, and then from the internet now to AI, which is human level intelligence. And yes, I know it's not all perfect and it's not quite dialed in, but just take this statement, for instance. This is the dumbest AI is ever going to be. It's going to be smarter tomorrow than it is today. Yesterday, it was really clunky, but today it can produce logos, it can produce cartoons, it can produce stories, it can take your voice, it can edit, it can think with you, it can think for you, it can research for you, and you're not having to type into Google, and then when the Google queue comes up, now you've got the top 10 searches, but you're not really looking through the next 100 pages. But AI can. AI can go into the entire world associated with that question and bring feedback to you, so that then you can just get to your answers quicker. And then you can say, well, restructure the question this way, or what are your thoughts about that kind of stuff? And so I use Valentine for all of my AI stuff. I don't use the images and stuff like that, because right now I'm just kind of conceptually building all the ideas in my head and online as I create this media company. But this tool can be used really by anyone. Okay, so that explanation just blew past it. Oh, and look, we have Brian here, so I'll go ahead and pause it there, and we'll bring him online real quick. Brian, man, how's it going?
Craig, it's crazy. Could I get you to do me a favor?
Sure. Could
you send the link to my email for me?
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's see.
Just a second.
All right, I'll kick you off, and then you'll come back through your email.
All right, cool. Thank you.
All right, so that's all y'all get for AI today, because Brian's here, and definitely want to have a show with him. All right, so let's see. We're going to actually look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the facilities maintenance commercial, and hopefully I'll have everything Brian needs, so that we'll finish off the show with him.
Behind every thriving park, every safe playground, every event-ready field, there's a team working before sunrise and long after sunset. This is Facility Maintenance, the only show created for and by the unsung heroes of parks and recreation. Brought to you by DPRS Media Co., where real work gets real recognition. From restrooms to rec centers, HVAC to turf tech, we go beyond the job site into the heart of operations that keep our communities moving. Our mission? To elevate maintenance teams through stories, solutions, and shared experience. Our vision? A world where every facility crew is seen, valued, and fully supported. Each episode features operators, innovators, and leaders, sharing tools, tech, and tactics that make the impossible look easy. Facility maintenance isn't just a job. It's purpose, it's passion, and now it's a show. Facility Maintenance, where tools meet purpose, where work becomes legacy.
Hey, Brian, what's your email?
So my email is bdixon@henrycountyga.gov.
Got it. All right, I just sent it. I'm gonna play another commercial while you get that set up, and hopefully we'll have it done when you get back.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content, we elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. And powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
All right, I think you got you set up.
You doing?
Fantastic, man. You working from home today? Are you office or what you doing?
No, I'm at the office. So we had a memorial service today at our Veterans Wall.
Right.
We lost a dear friend of ours. He was the curator of our Veterans Museum. I've known him for a long time. He was a dear friend. He was a hell of a man, and we literally just got done with his memorial service. It was beautiful. So
Man, how long was he with y'all? And what was his name?
His name was Jim Joyce. Again, he was the curator of our Veterans Museum. They have a huge outreach. He liked to serve veterans that come home and needed a place to land, needed a place to feel like home. You know, he offered that service. I mean, there was just so many things he was doing in the community. He'd been with us for, I'm not even sure. I mean, I feel like it's just come with the paint, you know, the walls in the building. I think at least since 2010, you know.
Wow.
Long time. He was a good friend. His wife is a part of our staff also, Miss Tina, and both of them were just so hands-on, not only with the veterans, but with day camps and after school and, you know, anything to do with the kids. Yeah. He'll be missed.
Was it unexpected or?
He'd been sick for a long time. You know, he is definitely in a better place. His body, you know, was failing on him. I think we all saw it coming, but it doesn't help when you have such a figure that means so much to a community that's now gone. You know, but his fingerprints are all over the place, and his legacy will live a long, long time here in Henry County. So, a lasting impression.
You know, anytime I attend a funeral, it always helps me to reflect on, you know, how temporal life is, that we're not here forever. What are we leaving behind? What are we living for? Is what we're dedicating our life to meaningful? Because it's not unlimited. You know, we don't have infinite hours to do what we're going to do. And it's always been powerful for me to attend funerals of friends that, you know, have passed away. And some of them are taken from us, you know, way earlier. You know, at 50, I think I still have another 100 years to go, but I know I don't.
Me too. Like, I feel like I'm going to live forever. So, and I plan on living forever. So,
yeah. Well, you will live on forever in your community in some way, because, you know, what y'all are building has been here for 100 years, probably going to be here for another 100, and just keep going. And so that's why I love working with Parks and Recreation, because it forces us to kind of plant a tree we'll never sit under, and I walk under trees in New Orleans that are 300-400 years old, and somebody in that park had the foresight and the vision to plant them long ago. And I wish sometimes they could see what it is today and what it means to the community. And that's just trees. You can go down the list of stuff that y'all do and the lives they impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Who's that in the background? We had a cameo back there.
who is it?
Somebody photobombed us.
That's one of the guys, yeah. I like to have fun with it. Yeah, we're trying to keep it lighthearted for the rest of the day.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So the last time we talked, we got on the subject and we didn't get to finish. And I've been sitting on this for a minute. So when I was at the beach at the very end, we started talking about artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Remember that conversation?
I just did like a 30-minute pitch on using AI day to day. So what are your thoughts about it?
I'm an advocate for it. I think it is a powerful tool. I think it's just that. I think it's a tool. If you can learn to prompt, it will do anything and everything for you. I use it in my life, my daily life, to help me build scopes. To things that would take time and thought. I'm able to do in a matter of seconds. I just plug in what I need, the information I need. It will format that thing for me, and I can send it over, and then I have the rest of the day to be out in the field and do my job. I think that when we get into the turf world of the next 10 years, I think when you start mixing GPS and artificial intelligence on mowers and sprayers and drones and all these things, it turns into a cash savings at the end of the day. You're more precise. You're not wasting. It's more environmentally, friendly because not wasteful. You take you're taking the human element out of it, which is exposure to chemicals or exposure to the sunlight. Being in the elements. And that person would do it comfortably from either a covered platform or air conditioned, flying something, or they can sit behind a computer like we're doing right now and just track their mowers all over their golf course and mow when nobody's there. Like if you're at the golf course, you're having to deal with the first people on the tee box, 7 o'clock in the morning. So, that first hour at the golf course, them guys are crunching it. Can you imagine bringing in your staff early in the morning, no pressure because the robots did it the night before?
And one thing I don't think people are using is this is something that you can dial in, much like if you're a sharpshooter and you get like 5 shots to really dial your gun in, dial the sights in. You take that first shot and it's off, but now you can recalibrate. And then you take another shot, it's even more accurate, more on target. And it takes into account, the wind, the sun, everything that you're looking at, the distance. And by the 5th or 6th shot, you just got it really dialed in. And that's how I use AI. It's not like a one and done. No, this isn't exactly what I wanted. AI is terrible. I'm gonna do this on my own. It's like, it helps you refine things so much quicker as you help dial it in.
I think people are because it's so new, right? And people are like, you have half the people that are for it and half the people that are like, no, this is bad, But if you can prompt and you can use it in a way that is efficient and I truly believe it helps you become a better person in the end, because you may respond a certain way, or you may have a certain natural tone about yourself, whether it be in an email or on the phone or through a text message. And when you lay out the facts or just the points for AI, it just gives it to you, in a professional, pleasant tone and in a great format.
And as far as like the adoption rate, it reminds me of when smartphones came out. I was one of the crazy guys that would sit outside the Apple store hours before they opened to get the first iPhone. And it was kind of clunky at first. I don't know if y'all remember, but the first iPhone, you could not copy and paste. And it was like, well, that's odd that you can't copy them, because we've been copying and pasting on our desktops. But then that was a feature that they added. And with each iteration from iPhone 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, it just got progressively better. And I don't know anybody that wants to give up their iPhone and go back to the days where the only way you could take a picture was to take out your Kodak, take a shot, go develop the film, wait a few days, and then mail pictures of what the concession stand looks like so that people can understand, what the problem is. Whereas today it's like, we snap pictures of what's going wrong all the time and send it to the people that are helping us, and we don't even think about it. The world of developing film is now just more like an old art form that we do, but we use our phones. But there was resistance in those early days of adoption because it was just so different from what we do today. And I think all the advances we've made from like 1990 to 2025, that 35-year technological leap we've made with cell phones and the ability to communicate real time with people, I don't know how we would ever go back. It would be super inconvenient. I'd feel like I would be going back to like the days of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson trying to communicate using horses and letters and stuff.
You remember having to travel using road maps?
Oh, I actually had to do that. I think I was heading up to middle of nowhere and AT&T went down. It was like maybe a 30-mile section and my map stopped working. I literally had to go pull into a Love's truck stop, and I paid $50 for one of those big road maps that the 18-wheelers use. And I was actually having to look at street signs. I was like, man, I haven't had to search for a street sign, make sure I don't pass up my next left turn in decades. And I felt like I was back in the Stone Ages almost.
The technology is wonderful when it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
But only when it works.
Right.
So
yeah.
I think when people, back to AI though, I think when people stop using AI as a Google search engine,
mm-hmm.
they will realize how powerful this thing really is. Like it's so, there's so many levels. There's so many levels to it. You know?
I'll give you a great use case. So 2 days ago, a friend of mine was redoing some tennis court lights, and I really don't do this much anymore, but I was just trying to help him out. And I was in the area, and he said, I need you to go look at these tennis courts and tell me what you think. And he thought that there were 1,000-watt metal halides up there. And I looked at the load and I looked at the breaker and I said, it's only a 30 amp 220 breaker. There's no way that that's running 20,000-watt fixtures. It would trip the breaker. And so I pulled up my AI and said, I just explained everything to him. And he responded. I use Valentine, which is Grok AI. Yeah. He responded as if he was a master electrician, using all the amps, the code, the watts, divided it for me. And I was having a full-on conversation with someone that I felt like was a master electrician. And he's just an app on the phone that I'm having a conversation with.
I've used AI when I'm working on like a boat motor, like an old boat motor, and I'm stumped. You know, mm-hmm. I can upload a video, it can analyze its sound and tell you, you know, what's going on there, and then how to tune in that carburetor.
Right.
You know?
You're kidding.
Yes. No, I'm not.
Great. I hadn't even thought of that. Hey, listen to this sound my car's making. What do you think is going wrong? I never even thought of that.
Yep.
That is where we're at.
Yeah.
And honestly,
I can't wait to see it. I really can't.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. I wish, I don't want to lose time over the next 10 years, but I wish I could just peek into 10 years from now and just take a look around and see. Because I think it's going to be used in sports lighting, lawnmowers, you know, anything from umpires, officiating, you know, like there's just so many different things across the board that AI could assist with, not completely take over, but assist with, you know?
Yeah. You know, I kind of see the future looking somewhat like this, and this is going to scare people. But imagine, I totally forgot that I had a meeting today, and I go to my AI avatar or my AI agent and I say, hey, I was supposed to get out these 3 estimates and send these emails, and you've been watching me do this for 6 months. Would you mind doing all that for me for the next 4 hours so I can go to this meeting and come right back? And I'll bet you the people on the other end of those emails and invoices won't be able to tell the difference between what I did and what my agent did. But I did train it. It does understand my workflow and the workload and who I communicate with. But I mean, it's just like a human. When they mirror you for long enough, before you know it, they can do the job 80 to 90, maybe even better than you did.
I mean, how many times do you work with someone for so long that you stop having to tell each other what to do and you just know?
That's it.
There's, you just, I'm sure as an electrician, if you go in there with a team of people, there's certain people that are going to be doing this, and certain people are going to be doing this. And you may just be listening to music for the rest of the day, but there's no real communication going on. It's
That's
just
right.
work's happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, I see that in y'all's team over there, just the short window I've had working with y'all, that y'all do have your morning meetings. You do have your around the water tank, around the having coffee,
Breakfast
having
Club.
breakfast club. That you're almost saying, okay, here's kind of our mission today. Here's what we're doing. And it's almost like a huddle right before the day starts. And then a well-tuned machine or a team is able to just get almost in flow state where you're no longer training people. People they're not disconnected from what we're trying to accomplish because they're sitting on top of like a decade of working together. And so I see us, instead of it being all humans, now we've got each human having 1 or 2 AIs working with them. And so a 10-man team might feel like a 100-man team because of this.
Yep, I
Yep.
agree.
That's kind of
It boils down to your mission and your vision,
Mhm.
and like the Breakfast Club, man. I wish you guys could see that live. Speaking of live,
I'm gonna have to do it one day live. I'm gonna show up there. Maybe I can do it. So I'm going to the Georgia Parks and Rec convention. Maybe I can drive
okay,
up there early. I can drive up there
hey,
early and just be a part of it.
we'll be in town. The majority, I think all of us will be in town. I think all of us may be presenting at GRPA. I know
Y'all
we'll
are.
be at NRPA. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
think Thomas signed everybody up for like 20 presentations.
every year. Every year. It's so fun to watch other people squirm. Like I just accept it. I'm like, okay, this is my reality. I'm just gonna do it. I like talking to people anyway. So
Yeah,
but it's fun watching like Michelle squirm a little bit, because she's
yeah,
not, even Miss Donna's like, I don't know. But when they do it, I mean, they do phenomenal jobs at it because across the landscape, I think you would find a hard time finding anyone with any more experience than Donna Holder and Michelle Dunn when it comes to what they do.
mhm.
They're just very good at it.
Yeah, yeah, I interviewed Michelle the other day, and she told me she was nervous. I'm like, "Well, you hit it well." Because once she started talking, it was almost like it reminds me of someone that maybe doesn't like to talk much, maybe like an old man, but he loves working on, classic Mustangs and dialing them in, getting those engines just right. Once you get him talking shop, it's like they just get in the flow state, and this is just their
Yeah.
world. Now
Yeah.
to convince them to get on stage and talk, but once they get moving, it's like, just get out of their way because they're
Yeah.
masters with this.
Yeah. I mean, and I tell people, we have a bunch of young guys here and supervisors and things. And like, we're constantly trying to figure out ways to make them feel more comfortable with
Mhm.
public speaking, and if you know the subject and you
Yeah,
got 15 years experience on the subject and people are coming to listen to you, they want to hear from you. Because
yeah,
typically in this industry, most of the people have only been in it from 3 to 5 years, and the majority of the people that are in the Parks and Rec field. And then you do have some of us that have been here in it, for a while. But if you understand,
mhm.
like, you can talk your way out of anything,
That's
you
right,
can talk.
that's right. Yeah, that reminds me, you ever seen that show, My Cousin Vinny, a long time ago?
Oh
So
yeah.
you remember that court scene where, Oh, who's the male actor, the comedian? Oh, I can't remember.
It's golly, Joe
Oh,
Pesci.
Joe Pesci. So he's like, he gets his fiance girlfriend on stage, and she's like, "I'm not going up there." Like, and he is just literally having to like force her. And finally, the judge himself had to get her to take the stand, and she just reluctantly didn't want to be there. But when they started asking her questions about cars, she just unleashed on them. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
how I feel like when you talk to people like Donna, yourself, or KP. Once they're talking about what they are masters of, just hold on, because they're getting ready to
it's
drop some
easy.
wisdom.
Yeah, it comes easy to them.
Yep.
That's funny you bring up my cousin Vinny. It was filmed like maybe 30 minutes from here.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. It's
No.
filmed right. So you know
Yeah.
where the gas station in the very beginning, the sack of
Yeah.
suds.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's a real location off of Highway 16.
No
Right
way.
about 3 miles, 2 to 3 miles from where I grew up at.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I encourage everyone out there in Parks and Rec, if you've mastered something, and do like my cousin Vinny, take the stand and just start talking about what you are a master of. It's gonna come easy because this is not something you're making up on the spot. You live it, like you live it every
Yeah.
day. You know the subject matter at a greater depth than most people ever could. And the whole point of the Daily Parks and Rec show and DPR's media company is to capture that wisdom digitally and put it in a media library where the young Brian Dixons of the world can see and hear your wisdom and then start from where you've left off after decades in this industry, not just figure it out the hard way and stepping on every landmine possible between where they are and where you are. You can kind of fast forward them 20 years in advance because now they're working with your wisdom, not figuring it out on day one.
That's the goal, is to try to pass the torch and leave it better than you found it.
That's right. That's right.
You
Well,
know?
yeah, I really appreciate you coming on with and then being part of that rec room because I mean y'all are just doing it right. Y'all have a lot of wisdom over there in each person, and I love how y'all work together as a team. It's not like, you know, it's 6 or 7 different people that don't talk to one another, that don't know each other's strengths and weaknesses. It's like one family coming to deliver a product to their community, which is so much better how seamlessly y'all work together.
Hey, look, it's not always pretty either. And, people need to understand that. Like, behind closed doors, sometimes it does get, a little heated. Sometimes sometimes we do disagree, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Because we all respect each other and we all love each other, and then we know that at the end of the day, we're here to serve each other and the community.
That reminds me, I think, let's see if I can do it. That book right there, Good to Great. If you hadn't read it, it's a phenomenal book. It was written decades ago, but they talk about the great companies, the great teams are able to sit at a board table with veins popping, hollering, sometimes cursing, fighting for what they want, their vision and stuff. But then once that team decides this is the direction we're going, the whole team goes that way. Even if you were on the opposing side, they're able to drop whatever they have and saying, this is the direction of the team, and they all get behind it versus fighting it the whole way, even after the decision made. Like the best teams are able to push and pull and fight for the best decision for the team. But then once that decision's made, they drop whatever they have and they go that direction. That is the sign of a great team.
You're giving me goosebumps, man, telling me that. You're making the hair stand up on me.
Well, thank Jim Collins. He actually, and he didn't like write that. He did it. It's an exhaustive study of what teams and companies in America just excelled and dominated their industry and which ones didn't and why. And those companies and teams that would work against each other behind the scenes and undermine the decision of the team just couldn't move as fast accomplishing their mission as those that would fight about it but then work together for the solution that the team agreed to. And so that's why y'all are doing so well.
You're exactly right. Let me ask you, you got 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think You've interviewed a lot of people. You've had a lot of conversations. What do you think the number one killer of an organization is?
That's a great question. I think humility is a game changer, because the body of knowledge that you know versus the body of knowledge that you don't know is massive. So you have a finite amount of knowledge and wisdom and experiences in Brian's head. And if you could leverage all that you don't know to make the same decision, you're just working with a larger data set. And many times the thing that stops the flow of knowledge that you don't know is ego, having to be right, needing to be correct, needing it to be your idea. And you have a bunch of people around the table serving their own ego and not the mission, because they lack the humility to go into areas of knowledge that they're not an expert in. But if you could say, just kill the ego and embrace humility, teams can just work through their problems, because every team faces problems. Every team faces. So if you look at what kills a team and what kills finding solutions, it really comes down to just having humble servants that are here to serve the mission, not themselves. If you have a bunch of egos that you're serving, almost all other strengths don't matter. If you're a great communicator, great storyteller, you can push yourself, you're disciplined, but you're serving your ego, I think all the other strengths of a team just can't grow when you're not humble. And I see that in y'all's team. Like, everybody is humble enough to say, you know what, I didn't even think about that. Let's incorporate that into the ending solution, and are able to work through the problems after that. So I would say humility is probably the number one thing teams have to work with. And that starts from the top. If you have a leader, and they actually talk about it in that book as well, it's called level 5 leadership. The level 4 leader is very driven, arrogant, ambitious. He's like the captain of the ship, but everything that it took to get him to that level actually destroys him getting to level 5 leader, which is humble. You don't even know who the leader is. He always gives credit to the team, takes blame for every mistake. So it really starts at the top, and then everybody on the team starts to imitate that leader, that humble servant leader. So I would say lack of humility is probably the number one killer in all organizations.
That's a good one. I tell you, in the spirit of my friend Jim Joyce, who is a veteran and served this country proud. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but in the military, there is a kind of an unwritten rule. It's not within their handbook or anything, but the lowest rank eats first, the highest rank eats last. And so the best leaders eat last.
Yeah.
And I think if you take that statement and you start painting a broad picture with that, you start really understanding what servant leadership really is.
Yeah. There's another great book that reminds me of, if you haven't read it, it's a phenomenal book. It's called Gates of Fire. And it's a fiction that's based in a real event where Leonidas faces down the Persians at the Hot Gates. I don't know do you remember that in history, where 300 Spartans, face
absolutely
100,000 Spartan army?
That's one of the coolest moments in history.
Right. Well, I remember one of the plebs was asking where the king sleeps. And he's like, well, let me tell you the difference between where the king Leonidas sleeps and where the other Spartans sleep. He's like, the Spartans sleep in that shithole and King Leonidas sleeps in that shithole. There's the difference. But he was like on the front line, bleeding with his men,
right,
taking the charge. And that's that humble servant that leads from the front line, kind of like Braveheart does, versus sitting on your horse, sending your men in the battle and wishing them well, and kind of managing from, behind danger, away from the troubles of what his men are facing. Which man would you rather follow into battle? The guy that has no risk, or the guy that's literally, hacking along with you?
That's right. I'm going with the guy that's
Me
riding with
too.
me.
Because he understands you, like he understands your problems, because he's facing them too. He's facing them down
Yeah,
with you.
and not only that, but he knows how to bring the best out of other people.
Yeah,
That's the difference between those individuals that ride into battles. They know how to pull the best out of others around them, opposed to just wishing them luck and sending them off in the battle.
Yeah. I interviewed a guy yesterday. His name was Ronald. He is assistant director in New York. They serve some county, Westchester County serves 1 million people, has 1,500 people on staff. When he introduces himself, they're like, well, what is your job description? What do you do? He says, I am the head toilet cleaner. And
I agree.
I've cleaned toilets, I've cleaned vomit, I've cleaned poo off the walls. I've been right there with you, and I am still able to do that today if need be. I'm not some, ruling this kingdom from an ivory tower. I'm right there with you. And that's so common. That's such a common thread in the culture of Parks and Recreation.
I mean, but that speaks volumes to others. I mean,
Mhm.
I can't even begin to describe. Like, here's an example. So Katrina, our special events coordinator, phenomenal job. Michelle tied in with that too, phenomenal job, along with the whole special events crew, right?
Mhm.
We will set things up, we will have an event, and when we break things down, Katrina, Michelle, and that special event staff, they never leave until the last
Wow.
thing is done.
Wow.
And the guys, they don't say it, but I know they love it. But
Mhm.
the first time if the first time they would leave, if they left before, I would hear about that.
You sure would.
I
Yep.
would. They'd be like, "Why are they getting to leave? What, what's going on
Right.
here?"
Right.
But that's a good example of just, they're not picking anything up. They're just standing around watching us, put things back up, but they know it's important to the rest of the guys to see them there and as a part of the team.
Yeah. It reminds me of some conversation Elon Musk was having, and he was saying how, I think he was being interviewed by some reporter, and they were like, why do you sleep on the factory floor? He's like, our company was going bankrupt. We had weeks to survive. We had to get this assembly line working, and it just wasn't. And how can I ask my men to put in the time and effort in the 80-hour work weeks if they don't see their leader willing to do the same? And so he literally would just camp out and sleep on the factory floor for weeks and months at a time until they got past this very challenging moment. And one of his quotes was, everyone likes to cook, but no one likes to do the dishes. He's got to be willing to do the dishes, because if your men see you leaving when times get tough, then they're going to give up too.
Man, I wish we had 30 Elons.
Yeah. Sometimes I think he has a genetic, some alien life form inside of him, because how he leads is amazing.
He's from underneath the ocean or something.
Yeah, I think maybe he's from Mars. He's just trying to get back home.
Maybe. I don't know. He got it figured out. It'd be nice to have some more great thinkers around the world like that, though. Like how we're living in very important times. I think history. The future will judge us later, and I think they'll look back on great minds like Elon Musk and some of these people that are here today, and just say, "Wow,
Yeah.
look what they started."
Yeah. Well, and I think if you look at a lot of what Elon does, it's not new, like leading from the front line. That's as old as time. The greatest leaders of the world, all the way back from Alexandria to the Spartans, King Leonidas, to any of the great leaders did the same. And so he's just basically taking a lot of what works, and that's just how he operates. He's just able to do it full time, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, he's made it more efficient across the board, you know. And I mean, that's the difference between government and private. You know, private can do whatever you want, however you want. The only thing you can't do is shoot rockets in the sky without the government's permission.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and there are some. That's why I think people should educate themselves, always be learners, always be students of their craft, never stop learning. And another great episode from Elon. He was giving a tour of the Star Factory to a guy that has a really popular YouTube channel with about 500,000 people. It's called The Everyday Astronaut, and it was the first inside tour that he gave. And the guy live right there during the show, well, why don't you do it this way? And Elon's thinking, he's like, you're right. Yep, we're going to do it. We're going to change it.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
That's humility right there.
It is. But I mean, God, man, just to be in such a place to say, yeah, that works. And not to care about the ego or care about where that idea came from. You know, he recognized that it worked and said, let's do that. You know, that's what great leaders do. They don't come up with all the ideas. They harness everybody else's and try to present the best option. Yeah. You know, and motivate people to execute that. You know?
Yeah. And another great thing that actually came out of that, he'll say, and this is how he leads the company. And this is how I try to do everything I do. He says, everything we're doing is wrong. It's just a matter of how wrong. Is it 10% right, 90% wrong, or flipped? And all we're trying to do is just be less wrong. Help us be less wrong tomorrow than we are today. And if you have that open mindset, rather than thinking that you're right, you just ran the most flawless event, zero room for improvement, then you never improve. But if you know you can do it better, if you know you can serve your community better, if you know you can put on an event more efficiently, that's, you know, serving the community, always looking for incremental improvements, then over time you just get 1% better every day, and that compounds over time.
That's JP's slogan right there. Give me 1%, be 1% better tomorrow than you were today. Right. You know, and it's a solid statement, you know.
Yeah, I remember learning that when I was being coached by Coach Pete Boudreau, and the winningest track coach, I think, in America. He's got more state titles than just about anybody else. And that's what he always say, just get 1% better in something. Some part of what you do, find 1% incremental improvements, and over a 4 or 5 year period of hammering on a craft, you just become a master in that way.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. And, you know, that's a great way to kind of spread that out too, because, you know, a lot of people want it now. They want to be great now. They want the money now. They want the accolades now. They want it all now. You know, and sometimes you just got to dig in and put in the work for days on end.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, you can have things now if you're able to take 10,000 shots today. If you can find a way to get on a basketball court and practice your free throw shot 10,000 times in one sitting, then you might be able to get it. But it's hard to get that volume that quick. If you're willing to put in the work nonstop, you'll get there faster. But I mean, there's no way to take 10,000 shots faster than just taking one shot at a time. And with each shot, you learn what works or what doesn't work.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Well, we've got a show coming up with the rec room with y'all here in a little bit, but appreciate you coming on, and look forward to our next show. And then I look forward to having you and some of your team members on the facilities maintenance show. I want to get them on.
All right. We'll see you shortly.
All right. Have a great day. We'll see you in a bit, Ryan. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye. All right. That was one of the greats, one of the legends from the facilities maintenance side of Parks and Recreation, Brian Dixon with Henry County, Georgia. So we've got a few more minutes, 16 minutes to be exact. We'll go ahead and sign off, and I will see y'all here in 16 minutes as we kick off another great episode of The Rec Room with Henry County, Georgia. Craig LeBlanc signing off, the doorman. Love you guys. See y'all here in a minute. Bye.
Welcome to DPRS Media Co., the first media company built for the people behind the Parks and Rec community. We don't just cover on Parks and Rec, we elevate it. We amplify it, we honor it. At the heart of everything we do is one mission: to serve the public servants, the professionals who design, maintain, and lead the parks that shape our communities. Under the daily Parks and Rec show, we produce 6 powerful platforms. Leadership in Parks and Rec, a spotlight on directors, superintendents, and visionaries shaping the future of public spaces. Facility maintenance, where the boots hit the ground, a deep dive into the systems, crews, and craftsmanship that keep our parks clean, safe, and beautiful. Young Professionals Network, shining a light on the next generation of Parks and Rec. Students, interns, and mentors sharing how we build a legacy together. Youth Sports Mastery, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. This series is for coaches, parents, and rec leaders working to make youth sports fun, fair, and meaningful again. The Rec Room, hosted by the passionate leaders of Henry County Parks and Rec. This show brings frontline energy and real-life stories from the field. And the weekly Parks and Rec Post, our official newsletter delivering stories, insights, and community wins every week. We are DPRS Media Co. LLC, a media company with a mission to uplift the professionals who serve every community, every park, every day.